wanted to do this documentary so people wouldn't have to always stare and take pictures, because we don't like when they take pictures, so they just knew.
For most of the world, Abby Hensel and Brittany Hensel were never just ordinary people. They were living symbols of hope. Two smiling faces sharing one body, defying every medical prediction placed upon them. From childhood, cameras followed their every step, and the world watched in awe, believing their story was a miracle untouched by pain. But behind the bright smiles, the interviews, and the magazine covers, there was a reality far more fragile and far more complicated than anyone imagined. In 2025, that carefully protected image began to crack. Quiet revelations, unsettling rumors, and unexpected moments raised questions no one was prepared to ask. Doctors, family members, and even old footage hinted at struggles the public had never seen. What truly happened to Abby Hensel and Brittany Hensel isn't what most people believe, and once you hear the full story, it will completely change how you see them forever. They were born in 1990 in Carver County, Minnesota, into a world that immediately treated them as both wonder and warning. Doctors explained to their parents, Patty Hensel and Mike Hensel, that their daughters were dicephalic parapagus twins, conjoined from the waist down. 2 heads, 2 brains, 2 spinal cords, 2 hearts, 1 body. From the very first breath, Abby and Brittany's existence demanded cooperation. Every movement, every step, every decision would forever require agreement. Almost immediately, doctors presented the most painful option imaginable: separation surgery, a procedure filled with uncertainty and unbearable risk. They warned that attempting to separate the twins could result in the death of one or both girls. It wasn't a medical decision alone. It was moral, emotional, permanent. In a later interview with Time magazine, Mike Hensel would sum up the impossible weight of that moment with a single question: how could you pick between the two? Their parents chose not to separate them. They chose life, together. That decision shaped everything that followed, from childhood to adulthood, from privacy to fame, from strength to silent suffering. The twins were raised in New Germany, Minnesota, a quiet town where neighbors knew one another and life moved at an unhurried pace. Their parents worked hard to give them something rare for children like them: a sense of normalcy. Patty, a registered nurse, understood the medical realities better than most and carried the quiet weight of knowing how fragile their daughters' lives could be. Mike, a carpenter and landscaper, focused on building stability, structure, and safety around them. Together, they created a home rooted in routine, discipline, and love. Abby and Brittany grew up alongside a younger brother and sister, sharing meals, school mornings, and family moments that looked ordinary from the outside. But no matter how carefully normalcy was constructed, it could never erase the reality of their shared body. From the very beginning, life demanded cooperation. Abby controlled the right side of their body, while Brittany controlled the left. Every movement required agreement. Walking was not automatic. It demanded balance and rhythm. Eating required timing and patience. Turning meant trust. Even pain was individual. Abby could feel sharp discomfort on her side without Brittany sensing it at all, and Brittany could suffer silently while Abby felt nothing. These weren't just medical facts. They were daily reminders that independence was not part of their world. Instead, their lives were built on coordination, communication, and compromise. As children, they learned lessons most adults struggle with. They learned how to negotiate without resentment, how to pause when emotions clashed, how to move forward even when they wanted different things. There was no storming off in anger, no shutting a door for privacy, no escaping an argument. Life forced them to face conflict head-on and resolve it together. Over time, this constant negotiation shaped who they became, not just as conjoined twins, but as people deeply aware of one another's needs. Everything changed in April 1996. That month, Abby and Brittany appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and their lives were instantly divided into before and after. Millions watched as 2 small girls sat under bright studio lights, smiling shyly as the world tried to understand them. The reaction was overwhelming. Viewers were captivated not just by their condition, but by their calm presence, their innocence, and the way they leaned into each other as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That same month, Life magazine placed them on its cover beneath the unforgettable words, "One body, two souls." The image traveled across the country and beyond, turning Abby and Brittany into symbols overnight. Letters poured in from strangers offering prayers, admiration, and curiosity. Cameras followed, interviews were requested. What began as fascination quickly grew into constant attention. For the first time, their lives were no longer just their own. Every milestone, every struggle, every smile became something the world wanted to see. While their parents tried to shield them, fame seeped into everything. Simple outings became public moments. Ordinary childhood experiences were filtered through lenses and headlines. The world saw inspiration and miracle. What it didn't see was the quiet pressure building behind the scenes, the realization that their story no longer belonged only to them. From that point on, Abby and Brittany were not just growing up, they were growing up watched. And while the world admired their strength, few understood the cost of being extraordinary before they ever had the chance to simply be children. As the years passed, the media never truly left Abby Hensel and Brittany Hensel. What began as childhood curiosity slowly turned into a lifelong spotlight they could never fully escape. Life magazine returned more than once to document their growth, their routines, and their struggles, each time reminding the world that these girls were growing up under constant observation. In 2002, Discovery Health aired Joined for Life, offering viewers a deeper look into their daily reality. Just 1 year later, Joined at Birth expanded on their medical condition, revealing how complex and fragile their shared existence truly was. By 2006, another documentary, Joined for Life, Abby and Brittany Turned 16, followed them into adolescence, a time already difficult for any teenager, but exponentially harder when every change happened in front of cameras. Viewers watched them navigate friendships, school pressures, social boundaries, and even the challenge of learning how to drive. While audiences saw courage and determination, what they couldn't fully feel was the weight of always being watched, judged, and discussed by strangers who knew nothing of their inner lives. Growing up under a microscope carried a heavy emotional cost. Strangers stared openly, whispers followed them in public spaces. Cameras appeared in moments that should have been private, moments of frustration, exhaustion, or vulnerability. Their father later admitted that the pressure was relentless, a quiet burden that never truly lifted. Abby and Brittany were not identical beyond their shared body. Abby was serious, focused, and practical, often thinking ahead and weighing consequences. Brittany, on the other hand, was lighter, more spontaneous, and emotionally expressive. Those differences, while natural, made everyday life far more exhausting than most people could imagine. Simple choices, what to wear, where to go, how fast to walk, became negotiations. What others did without a second thought required discussion, compromise, and emotional energy. There was no walking away from an argument, no cooling off alone, no space to process feelings independently. Life demanded constant cooperation, even on days when they felt very differently about the world. Alongside the emotional strain came relentless health challenges. Against all medical expectations, they survived into adulthood. Dicephalic parapagous twins almost never do. Doctors had once spoken in probabilities and warnings, but Abby and Brittany rewrote those predictions through sheer endurance. In 2008, they graduated from Mayer Lutheran High School in Mayer, Minnesota, standing together as living proof that medical labels did not define destiny. That graduation wasn't just a milestone, it was a quiet victory over every doubt that had ever been placed on their future. They went on to attend Bethel University in St. Paul, Minnesota, choosing education as their path forward, not because it was easy, but because it mattered. Teaching meant purpose, It meant shaping lives. It meant being seen not as a medical phenomenon, but as mentors standing at the front of a classroom. At first, Abby and Brittany hoped to pursue different concentrations within their degree, a quiet reflection of their individuality. Abby leaned toward structure, logic, and numbers. Brittany gravitated toward creativity, language, and expression. But the reality of coursework, schedules, and physical limitations made that dream impossible. Once again, life demanded compromise, and once again, they chose it without complaint. In 2012, they reached a milestone few believed they ever would. Abby and Brittany each earned a Bachelor of Arts degree. 2 minds, 2 educations, 2 identities, one shared body standing on a graduation stage that symbolized far more than academic success. It was proof of endurance, proof of cooperation, proof that limitations did not get the final word. As they stood there together, diplomas in hand, they weren't just celebrating graduation, they were standing on decades of perseverance, surgeries, stares, and silent negotiations the world would never fully see. That same year, their journey reached millions once again through the TLC reality series Abby and Brittany. For viewers, the show offered an intimate look into adulthood, a chapter many had wondered if the twins would ever reach. Cameras followed them through college graduation, travel across Europe, and the uncertain beginning of their teaching careers. But what stood out most wasn't the spectacle, it was the normalcy. Lesson planning, job interviews, classroom nerves, dreams that felt surprisingly familiar. Inside the classroom, their differences became an unexpected strength. Abby excelled in math and science, bringing structure, focus, and precision. Brittany shined in reading and language arts, connecting with students through warmth and creativity. Together, they formed a seamless teaching partnership, moving through lessons with unspoken coordination and mutual respect. Students didn't see limitations, they saw teachers who cared, teachers who listened, teachers who understood struggle better than most. When the show ended, something remarkable happened. The cameras faded, the spotlight dimmed, and for the first time in their lives, Abby and Brittany chose quiet. They continued working as 5th-grade teachers in Minnesota, navigating a school system that had never been designed for lives like theirs. The district issued them 2 contracts, but because they shared one body, they split a single salary. Even success came with compromise. Outside the classroom, their lives became intentionally small. Grocery shopping, walking through town, time with family, simple routines that most people take for granted, but that Abby and Brittany had rarely been allowed to enjoy. They maintained a modest presence on TikTok, sharing moments only when they felt comfortable, never offering more than they chose. Privacy, once stolen from them in childhood, became something they fiercely protected. Then came a shock no one expected. In November 2021, Abby Hensel quietly married Josh Bowling, and the world didn't know a thing. There were no announcements, no interviews, no carefully staged photographs, and no magazine covers waiting at newsstands. For 3 full years, the moment remained private, protected from headlines and speculation. It wasn't until March 2024 that Today revealed public records confirming the marriage, sending shockwaves through longtime followers who believed every major moment of the twins' lives would always unfold in public. But this moment was different. It wasn't secrecy, it was choice, a deliberate decision to reclaim something that had so often been taken from them. Josh Bowling was never drawn to attention. He was not a celebrity, nor did he seek the spotlight that came with Abby's name. He was a U.S. Army veteran, a former combat medic who served with the 1st Cavalry Division in Iraq and Afghanistan. War shaped him through trauma, loss, and moments most people never witness. After leaving the military, he chose a quieter path of service, becoming a registered nurse and working in hospice for veterans. In helping others find dignity and peace at the end of life, Josh carried forward a life defined not by fame, but by compassion and resilience. Public reaction was swift and brutal. What began as curiosity quickly turned invasive, and fascination hardened into judgment. Strangers who had never lived a single day in their bodies suddenly felt entitled to opinions about their choices, their love, and their future. Social media filled with speculation, assumptions, and criticism. Yet Abby Hensel and Brittany Hensel did not argue. They did not explain. They did not beg for understanding. Instead, they responded with calm defiance. On TikTok, they shared a message that cut through the noise with quiet confidence. If you don't like what I do but watch everything I'm doing, you're still a fan. There were no apologies and no explanations. After decades of living under a microscope, they chose something radical: control. For most of their lives, Abby and Brittany had been watched, analyzed, and discussed as if their existence were public property. Cameras followed them from childhood into adulthood. Their bodies, their movements, even their dreams were treated like open exhibits. But this chapter was different. This chapter belonged to them, and for the first time, they decided how much of it the world would see. In December 2024, another wave of attention arrived. A TikTok video featuring molecular biologist Hashem Al-Ghalili began circulating widely, breaking down Abby and Brittany's anatomy in clear scientific terms. The video explained what many people still struggled to understand: 2 brains, 2 spinal cords, 2 hearts, 4 lungs, 2 stomachs, 3 kidneys, 1 liver, 1 bladder, 1 shared reproductive system. Abby controlled the right side of their body. Brittany controlled the left. Even pain was separate. One could suffer while the other felt nothing at all. Their bodies were described as a living paradox, not divided, not fully shared, but sustained through a lifetime of perfect cooperation. For some viewers, the video was educational. For others, it reopened old curiosities they had never fully let go of. Once again, Abby and Brittany found themselves reduced to anatomy charts instead of human beings. Yet they remained steady. This was their reality, and they had lived it every single day. No explanation could ever fully capture what it meant to move through life, negotiating every step, every turn, every decision together. Then, in August 2025, everything shifted again. Photographs surfaced online showing Abby and Brittany holding a newborn baby. Within hours, the internet erupted. Questions poured in from every direction. Were they parents? Whose child was it? How was it possible? Speculation spread faster than facts, and the familiar cycle of obsession returned. Once again, the world wanted answers immediately. Abby and Brittany refused to give them. Instead of addressing the rumors, they took control in their own unmistakable way. They shared the photos themselves on TikTok, setting them to nothing but a G-Thang by Dr. Dre. The caption was just one word: blessed. No explanation, no clarification, no permission granted. The message was subtle but powerful. This moment was theirs, and they would not let it be dissected. Behind the scenes, however, life was far less simple than the images suggested. Their father revealed that new medical complications were beginning to emerge. Issues that had once been manageable were now worsening with time. Doctors were once again discussing the possibility of separation, not as a dream, not as a choice, but a consideration tied to survival itself. It was a conversation no one wanted to have, especially Abby and Brittany. It was a devastating idea. They had never known life apart. Separation wasn't just dangerous, it was emotionally unthinkable. Their bond wasn't symbolic, it was lived, breathed, and negotiated every second of every day. They had always been clear about one thing: they never wished to be separated. Not because their lives were easy, but because together they could do the things they loved. They could run, they could teach, they could laugh, they could live. Today, Abby Hensel and Brittany Hensel remain in Minnesota, living quietly, teaching, and carefully choosing what parts of their lives to share with the world.
Their story is not a mystery to be solved, nor a spectacle to be consumed. It is the story of two people who have spent a lifetime proving that resilience does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it compromises, and sometimes it simply keeps going. And perhaps the real question isn't what happened to Abby Hensel and Brittany Hensel. Perhaps the real question is how many of us could live a life where every step demands compromise and still choose love, strength, and grace. If their story moved you, like, share, and subscribe to keep stories like this alive. Thanks for watching.